Python, parameter checking with exception raising. I am attempting to write exception raising code blocks into my Python code in order to ensure that the parameters passed to the function meet appropriate conditions, i.e. making parameters mandatory, type checking parameters, establishing boundary values for parameters, etc. I understand satisfactorily how to manually raise exceptions as well as handling them. This is an acceptable, tried and true, way of parameter checking in Python, but I have to wonder, since Python does not have a way of writing switch cases besides if-then-else statements, is there a more efficient or proper way to perform this task? Or is implementing long stretches of if-then-else statements my only option?
You could create a decorator function and pass the expected types and, optional, ranges as parameters. Something like this. Instead of if ... column raise, you could also invert the conditions and use assert, but as noted in comments, those might not always be executed. You could also extend this to allow, for example, open ranges, like 0. None, or to accept arbitrary, lambda, functions for more specific checks. Example.
I think you can use decorator to check the parameters.
This has been bugging me for a while about Python. There is no standard way to output if a provided param is none or has missing value, nor handle a JSON/dict object gracefully. For example, I want to output the actual parameter name in the error message. There is no way to pass the actual parameter name, unless you do this artificially and messily by hard coding the parameter in the error output message, e. But this is both messy and prone to syntax errors, and pain in butt to maintain. For this reason, I wrote up a dictator function. This URL. If you add your parameters into a dict, or read your parameters from a YAML or JSON config file, you can tell dictator to raise a value error if a param is null. For example, config.yaml. Now your Py program reads in this config file and the parameters, as a JSON dict. Now set your parameters and also check if they're null. If sports is none, it will raise a value error, telling you exactly what parameter is missing. You can also provide a fallback value to your parameter, so in case it is none, give it a default fallback value. This avoids ugly index/value/key error exceptions. It's a flexible, graceful way to handle large dictionary data structures and also gives you the ability to check your program's parameters for null values and output the actual parameter names in the error message.
If you want to support the channel, please consider subscribing.